So tell us why is the right profile the standout track from the album for you?
I love this swinging nature of it. I love that it's weirdly about some Hollywood downfall.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I just love Joe Strummer slowly like losing his mind through the delivery of it. And it has an absolutely standout Clash lyric. I'm a lyrics guy.
Mm-hmm.
Standout Clash lyric, Nembutal numbs it all, but I prefer alcohol. Like, it's a beautiful little thing right in the middle of that.
Yeah.
I love it.
I do think
So,
this is the only song I've ever heard that references Montgomery Clift.
Yeah.
that can't be true.
I haven't Googled that, so I don't know, but
that can't be actually be the case, but it feels like it is the only one.
Let's find out. You talk amongst yourselves.
Well, so that's so interesting. One might say that you like the theater of it. You know, you like the...
Yeah.
I
mean, give me some theatrics. Give me the drum.
A little bit of pageantry. That's kind of what we want. Yeah.
I do love that.
And there is something very cock of the walk about them, isn't it? You know, it's like very they peacock a little bit.
The hallmark of the Clash is they're like, what? You're gonna do better? Come on.
Right. What'd you find, Michael?
There is a second song that references Montgomery Clift, and it is called "Monty Got a Raw Deal" by REM.
Oh,
man, that's so perfect, though.
Which is that's on Automatic for the People.
That's on Automatic for the People on the second side.
We haven't talked about REM yet. I'm not an REM guy, but not by choice. You know, I just haven't gotten into them, so I feel like it might be a dangerous thing when somebody brings REM to the pod.
Yeah, you're gonna end up listening to all of the albums, all of them,
or not.
Or
not. This is not the thing. I feel like REM can be a
acquired taste.
What is the word I'm looking for?
Polarizing.
Yes, thank you. That's it. It can be polarizing. We have an REM dispute in this house.
Do you?
Yeah, I like REM, and Jimmy can tolerate them.
Michael, where do you stand on REM?
I love the album Monster, but so I would.
I've heard that one's good. Yeah,
Monster. Yeah, well, there's a golden age of REM, is what I will say.
Is there?
And I feel like
a run of albums.
Yeah, and it's like around Automatic for the People, Monster. Then the drummer leaves, and things get weird. I still say New Adventures in Hi-Fi is a really great album that is sort of like, it's like subtle. It's not like, oh, this is amazing. It kind of sneaks up on you a little bit.
Yeah, that's my sister's favorite REM album.
Yeah.
Maybe this will be the thing as I approach 40. That'll be like, instead of getting into birding, I'll just get really into REM.
Hey,
that'll be my thing.
¿Por qué no los dos? You can do them both, right?
¿Por qué no los dos?
I mean, like, I'm firmly against all type of birds other than the Eagles. So, like, the football team, not the band. I hate the band.
Since you were, our second guest on the podcast, first of all, I'd just like to remind you of the score that you racked up on that episode back when we were doing a scoring system, back when we were doing the really creative scoring system, which I liked, but it was really taxing to do during the episode. You received a combination of you and me and Janet all received these things, which were 3 sets of hot pink suspenders, which I believe is referencing something you wore in middle school. 4 golden bases, primarily for Sly and the Family Stone. 2.5 centipedes for Rebe, of course. And then I also got 98 centipede legs to go with the 10 black cats that you'd given me for doing well on the intro. We gave Tyler 1 Babadook, a gay Babadook, though that does feel a little redundant.
It's redundant.
Then I think you got
Babadook isn't canonically gay.
I think so. And then I don't know who got this 2 asteroids right into Tyler's skull, and I can't remember what that was for.
Jesus.
And then 6 staccato legatos, because of course we were referencing the way you dance to Janet Jackson songs, which is staccato on the top, legato on the bottom, which is why it's hard. But also, you mentioned your standards for choosing a perfect album, and so we're curious to see if these hold up for this album as well. Well, wait,
not the tape coming back for me.
Yeah, it is. It is.
So you said
the receipts.
You said that a perfect album doesn't have to be no skips, which is something you said.
Thank God.
And then you said that for a perfect album, it should be something where you perfectly receive the intended message. So in the case of Rhythm Nation, it was, we have work to do and we have dancing to do. And you felt like the album successfully delivers that. You got it. It all worked out. So would those standards hold up for The Clash's London Calling? Would you use the same standards?
Well, thank God I said that about the skips because, yeah. I mean, this album is absolutely perfect, but like there are days that you're like, oh, I just don't know if I can do Coca-Cola today. But yeah, I think that this is one of the more perfectly delivered albums, which is like, shit's fucked up, but it doesn't have to be like this forever. Let's go. Or, that was very hoagie mouth. Sorry.
No,
let's go. Let's go.
Let's go. Hoagie. Wooder. Well, yeah. I mean, it really seems to strike those standards to me. That's an interesting thing. And like I feel like we've been seeing the skip. We've had fewer guests as of late. I feel like that are talking about no skips being like a standard by which, you know, like I'm thinking about last season when we talked to another famously long album. We talked to Colin O'Brien about Permanent Record Out in the Box.
Set, not just one album. Let's be real.
Exactly. You know, and that's like there's skips
I gotta
in
tell
there.
you guys, controversial opinion. That should be disqualified.
Because it's a box set?
Yeah, one album. Come on.
Fair enough. No, okay, but in the same here's what this is like it's like the task that I had in condensing the story of The Clash into 60 seconds. It's like you really just have to capture the spirit. You know, and I think what it is that this collection of songs captures the spirit of what you feel they are trying to express, even if it has a little bit of chaff there as well. There's plenty of wheat. It's got all your grains. It's got 35 grams of whole grains in a bowl.
Yeah.
Which is what your cereal should have, people. You need fiber. Stop eating that
for our health
cardboard sugar.
podcast. Yeah.
But I feel like the other thing that you're getting from this is the point of time, right? This is not a mid-Thatcher regime album. This is a beginning Thatcher regime album.
True.
This is like, buckle up, kids. It's going to get worse. But it
and
could
we'll
get
defer
better.
to our British friends of the pod, you know, on their Rich, I owe you an email. I love you, man. Thanks for your emails. Matt, you got me watching cricket. You know, like we'll defer to them on their understanding of what it's like to be a British person and have perspective on that, you know, cultural experience.
Well, sure, yeah, and I certainly don't. But like, it's just the same as listening to some, you know, punk albums around the turn of the 80s versus the mid 80s. And it's like the beginning of Reaganism versus being in the midst of it. I feel like there's parallels.
Yeah. Okay, I do want to, because your argument that you're making about how this maybe isn't quite a pure punk album, I think is important here, because the more we've talked about the kind of punk ethos on this pod, and sort of famously with Lindsay when we talked about the Sex Pistols, obviously coming up at the same time, you know, like there is a credibility. There's always going to be this like credibility narrative that's going on when you talk about punk, right? Because it's always you're in or you're out. It either is punk or it isn't, right? And so I guess one of Lindsay's ideas that she brought to us about the Sex Pistols is that punk has to be challenging. Punk can't be complicit in the status quo, I guess is what she says. That's what makes something punk, right? And it has to be bucking the injustices in the system around it to qualify as punk. It has to be anti, you know, repressive and that kind of thing. So I guess I wonder, like, do you feel like that spirit is still alive in them as a band? Like, do you think that they achieve the punk thing as a band, even if all of the music that they make isn't necessarily punk?
Absolutely. I mean, they're iconically representative of punk ethos, right? It's just that they're doing a little bit more. Like, there's jazz on this album.
And I guess they
did.
did
On the nose, they called it Jimmy Jazz, but like,
right.
But like,
and they,
you know,
they took it to the world. You know, like this is the other thing is they scaled it up, and so they like kind of rode that system.
But they have the punk ethos of, well, fuck you guys. We're playing jazz now. What?
Yeah.
You didn't like that?
That's true.
You know, it's a very fuck you. We're going to do this whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
Kind of feel. And I feel like that's alive here for sure.
Totally.
It does sort of still, the thing you were saying about being part of the time, like it does feel like it bridges the 70s and the 80s.
Yes.
I mean, I can't remember the exact year that the Ramones and Sex Pistols were first put out their albums, but like you see, I mean, by the time they get to, Rock the Casbah and Should I Stay or Should I Go, like that has a very 80s sensibility to it to me. And I know you said that's like mostly Mick Jones trying to get on the radio, but I don't know. I guess I'm wondering, like, I mean, I suppose I know the answer to this question. Like, what sort of music would they write about today?
I think about this a lot. Yeah. So Joe Strummer died in 2003?
2003, yeah.
Long time ago.
I was in the car with my sister Christmas shopping, listening to terrestrial radio because that's all we knew at that time in the early aughts. Lost in the Supermarket came on, and I turned to my sister. I said, "Oh my God, I hope Joe Strummer didn't die."
God.
And she said, "Why would you say that?" And I was like, "Because they would not play this on the radio." And then, sure enough, the recently departed, dearly loved Pierre Robert came on the radio and said, "Sad news. Joe Strummer is dead at the age of 50," which when it was 2003, I was like,
yeah,
that feels pretty young. Now that I'm 45, I'm like, Jesus Christ, it's so young.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
But I often think, I'll post on Instagram here and there on politically bad days, in my opinion. Like, God, Joe, we miss you. Like, what would Joe be saying? What would Joe be doing? I think he would have a lot to say.
Yeah.
Thinking about his post-Clash work and like the 101ers and a lot of the other stuff, I'm going to be real. I think he would still be trying to make reggae happen.
Yeah.
He was real into it.
Well, I don't know how much the sentiment that people, because you see, if you do a little bit of reading about kind of like what the sentiment is around them and their legacy, I think there is the faction of people who believe that they were kind of like that they had sold out, like by signing to the major label, and that it would have been more pure, like it's always that purity thing, right? That was even happening in the 90s. In the 90s, it still happens, right? But it seems like there's that faction of people who, because it wasn't like they were perfect at least they kept ticket prices low. At least they kept their albums relatively affordable for the time. At least they did those things, even if they were signed to a major label and were touring the world and doing all this stuff. It's hard to, you're never going to win the purity contest when it comes to punk or politics, I guess.
Well, and that's the thing, like selling out is such a huge thing in a few different genres, right? In punk, hugely important, but also I think like in folk a little bit too. I mean, Ani DeFranco had a whole song about Liz Phair selling out.
Yeah,
that's a thing. And it's kind of why I was a little embarrassed to bring up earlier that I'm a ska guy, because like it's not cool. Like it's just like it's not cool to be a sellout. It's not cool to go to major label. It's not cool to get into certain things, right?
Yeah, who's the typical Clash fan today?
Meg Williams. No, like I was thinking about this. I was like, man, punk is like so heavily male. I'd say 80% of my listening is women, and then also just the Clash. Like, I don't know who's a typical Clash fan. I think someone around the age of 45 to 60 who thinks they're cool. I don't know. Like, I certainly have, for a lot of my life, worn that as a badge of honor to be a Clash fan, to think that makes me
sure
cool in a certain way. I don't know if it does, but to me it does.
I think it does.
Maybe that's lame to say that, but whatever.
No, I mean, there's something about being in the scene too. Like that's the other thing about some people don't feel like, I don't really feel like I'm in a scene, even though I know I'm sort of like everybody's in a scene of some kind, right? But like that seems like it was such an inner circle thing too. In the reading, they're always talking about the inner circle of punk bands and stuff like that. So how could it not feel cool to feel like you're a part of that through their music? Yeah, I think that's a key pillar of punk, really, is just that there is a circle that you want to get in on. You want to get in the know. You want to know about it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's part of it, for sure. It's also loud, and that's great.
Well, how else are people going to listen to the message that... I was thinking about that, like looking over like all their political beliefs and just realizing I feel like we keep coming across all these bands from the 70s that were saying like, hey, y'all, like, capitalism bad, law enforcement, maybe we want to rethink that. Like maybe socialism is not such a bad idea. And, you know, again, not to get too political, but I sort of look at what's happening today and I'm like, I guess we weren't listening, or I guess they weren't yelling it loud enough back then, I guess.
Right.
Right, yeah. But the capitalism bad, but we're signed to a major record label. Like, you can see a little bit. Yes!
Little ab shot.
Nice. Ooh, no abs right now.
I don't believe you.
I don't believe you either.
Well, okay. We could go on like this for quite some time.
Yes, we could.
You came here for a very specific purpose, which was to make your case for why this album is perfect, why it goes all the way to 11. So you've built that case, but Michael and I have a very important step that we need to take now to determine whether or not it will truly enter the pantheon. That means that, Michael, it sounds like it's time for us to enter the
deliberation phase. Yeah, we got to get the visuals too. We got the sound. We got to add the visuals. Yeah. So
we'll get there.
Yeah, in time.
Anyway, now we're in the deliberation phase. I think you should start, Michael. What do you think? How did Meg do building the case for this album?
It's so hard because, you know, Meg's on the pod, so, like, I'm not going to say no. So, like, there's...
Oh, my God, but you hated it.
No, I don't. No, I don't. No, I mean, like I said earlier, like, there's, like, with the Pearl Jam overlap, I think they've even covered some Clash songs when they've played live.
They have.
I don't know which one. I feel like they always, like, latch onto another band and they'll cover, like, one or two, like with the Who, you know, they always do Baba O'Reilly, that sort of thing. Which we didn't even talk about. There's sort of a connection between the Who and the Clash here as well, in a way. In a way. In any case, I will say I'm glad that Marty made it onto the pod because I was waiting for that to
hope you're well, Marty, wherever you are.
Oh my God, me too. Whatever you're doing, I hope you have a beautiful life.
I appreciate you like referencing the fact that, I mean, this is an album that's sort of, we used the word punk a lot in this episode, but I don't know if that was the first genre I would assign to this album, frankly, because it does feel sort of like maybe the fact that it defies all of those is part of what gives it its, you know, its state of perfection. I appreciate the fact that you acknowledge that this album is too long and there are some tracks on it that are not quite up to par with the others. But I don't know. I mean, like, I don't have anything super specific. This one felt like it was very, like, it was all vibes, to say with the way.
I feel like we have spent a lot more time talking about the songs that aren't as good on this album and not enough time with the good songs.
Well, Tyler, you go then. Maybe after we deliberate, maybe we should highlight a few songs to make sure there's some actual Clash content in this episode for those who care about that. Tyler, what do you say?
Totally. I agree. You know, this is like it's hard to argue against this, you know, just because of how culturally important it is, I think, and then connecting that to sort of your particular story is what we always want. And that's why we keep doing this podcast, is to hear about, you know, kind of hear a succinct, poetic expression of why someone thinks an album makes them who they are. And I think you achieved that in this. And I'll just go ahead and say, I think Meg Williams is cool. So, you know, it's not unfair for you to also think that.
The Clash made me cool, though.
Yeah. So, with that, maybe we want to highlight a few songs that you want to recommend to our listeners as you think. You know, we talked about what your standout track is. Like, tell us a little bit, just briefly, for our listeners before we make the final assessment. What should they listen to if they're going to pick out the particular tracks?
Did you all have a standout track?
We haven't been doing our own standout track.
I know, but I wondered who you're listening, because I know that you are good podcast hosts and you prepare thoroughly. So I didn't know.
What would you say is your standout, Michael?
Death or Glory. It's definitely.
Death or Glory.
It just it's like, it's triumphant and it's
so
like
great.
It's very it's not danceable, but like I can feel that song in concert. Like I can just feel like everybody screaming along with that. Like it's sort of like a battle cry. And that's the one. That's the one for me. I also do enjoy Rudy Can't Fail, and I don't know why. Like, because it shouldn't be a song that I would like, but like something about it, it's kind of fun. I think that's the thing too. They're fun. Like, yes, they're they are politically oriented, and they are, you know, they do have some punk elements, but they're also they're just fun, and that's I think something that comes through in Rudy Can't Fail. Those are my two stand. And I do like Train in Vain because the a cappella group that I had in college used to cover the song Train in Vain, though technically it was
the Annie Lennox.
It was a
version.
cover of the Annie Lennox cover of Train in Vain. Yeah. So whatever.
Death or Glory is on my list too.
Yeah.
And I believe that was one I heard. I believe Social Distortion did a Death or Glory cover.
Oh.
I think, or maybe that's their own Death or Glory. I can't remember, but I remembered having both. I remembered having that on playlists as on my iPod. But I'm also a Lost in the Supermarket guy. That's a good ass song.
Yeah,
that's a good ass song.
I think Death or Glory is actually the best song on the album.
Mm-hmm.
I think for sure.
It might be a perfect song.
I think so.
Perfect length, like it's like well constructed, and also like it's got a hook, and it's it might be
a
perfect.
Couple of shocking lyrics, and it's fun. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No.
Well, okay.
Yeah, I like you said about capturing the silliness because they're serious, but they're very silly,
cartoony almost at times. Like they're sort of caricatures, which I think is a strength of theirs because it makes them mythical. It makes them mythological.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I was going to call out Death or Glory. I think the Clampdown too. I mean, not just because we used the Clampdown to open. I did a show in college. These many years ago, and the whole sound design was just the Clash. We opened the second act with "What are we gonna do now?" And I was just like, it was so freaking on the nose. I was like, that's hilarious. Let's do that.
Yeah, why not?
Why don't we say what play it was so our listeners?
It was "This Is Our Youth" by Kenneth Lonergan, a beautiful play.
Classic. Yeah.
And the great and good Jordan Smith did that sound design.
Hateful's also pretty good too. It's maybe
Hateful's great.
In the history of like songs about drugs, like it's kind of deceptive because it feels like really like jaunty and fun, and then as you listen to the lyrics, you're like, this
okay, is awful. Yeah, yeah, no, and Jimmy Jazz, I have a lot of love for, and
it sounds like there's plenty of wheat in here.
You know what? The whole album's great.
Yeah. It's
like
in fact maybe perfect. So I guess this is what we're saying is we're still in the deliberation phase, and I mean maybe Michael, let's do it this way. I think it's perfect. Do you think it's perfect?
I think it's perfect. So it can join the pantheon.
We're gonna fuck with the form a little bit this week.
We've been sort of fucking with the form all season, to be honest. Like
fast and loose, baby.
Well, because I think when we have people back that we've already talked with, there's a level of comfort we achieve immediately, and so then we just I don't know maybe we go a little off script and go off onto tangents.
Maybe
sometimes.
Just a little bit. This one's gonna be long. This one's gonna be a long one.
It's fine.
Whatever. Meg, what a treat to have you back. I miss you very much. I love that you two are in the same general region again. Yeah, and I'm looking forward to making a trip out to Philly sometime very soon, so we can go get some water ice.
Go get some water ice. I'll bring you to Jersey and we'll go to the record store.
I would love that. I would love that. All right.
Well, Meg,
I love you guys.
Well, Meg, before we let you go, real quick, is there anything you want to shout out? And this can be anything from like something that you have coming up you want to tell people about. It can be something you've been listening to or watching. Anything you just want to be like, hey, this is part of my world right now, and I think everyone else should experience it.
Great. Let's say I also knew about Wolf Parade before, but mostly because of you.
You did.
But shout out Heated Rivalry. That's great. No, I don't have anything like theater wise or anything. I am kind of writing a book, but we'll see how it goes. So
very cool.
But something I do want to shout out is a really fun YouTube thing that I have been engaging with. That is the Amoeba Records "What's in My Bag."
Those are fun.
Thing. Super fun. It's like, famous people, mostly musicians, but sometimes,
actors
not.
and such.
And they sort of talk through what albums they would choose to buy from the store and why. Some of them are a little exhausting, I will say.
They're long.
So I like that sometimes. I'm like, let's get into it. The Mark Mothersbaugh one was really interesting. I just watched that the other day. Shout out Devo. And the one that I found exhausting, though, was Carrie and Corin from Sleater-Kinney, and I was just like, yeah, it's post-separation.
Yeah, of course.
Bummer.
Yeah.
So,
real quick,
Yeah.
have you watched the Diva documentary?
I have not yet.
Okay,
it's
you-
on.
I
You gotta watch
need
that.
to.
Yeah.
I know. I can't wait.
I've seen them. Have you guys seen them?
Fun.
Yeah, I saw them open for Arcade Fire in like 2014.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, at the United Center in Chicago.
Absolutely switched.
To
Love that.
quote the great Maya Rudolph in the Star Spangled Banner sketch from SNL, but what?
I'm telling you, it was a great show. It was a great show. 2014, I think. 2014.
Oh,
sounds right.
dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then the other
Anyway.
thing I want to shout out, because I don't think this will ever come to the Pantheon, but I'm super into them. My boyfriend got me into them. Amel and the Sniffers from Australia.
Yeah.
They
Super
might make it
fun.
in the Pantheon,
And we're going to
honestly.
go get to see them this year. So I can't
Nice.
wait.
You
Okay.
are? Where? In
The
Philly?
Man Center. Yeah.
They're playing
Holy
the
shit.
Man Center?
Yeah.
Michael, you should go. You should go for
You
sure.
Come with us. Come with
A
us
strange venue. When is it happening?
in the summer.
Oh,
Because
okay. Oh, because the
outside.
Man Center,
Yeah.
of course. Yeah, that's right.
They're
I don't
so
know.
Where-
great.
Sometime in the summer, I'll send you the thing, but you should come with us. It's going to be super
Well,
fun.
Okay.
I've been into all things Australian recently because friend of the pod, Matt Risby, has me watching cricket. And there's it was the Ashes with England and Australia. So Amel has been in the rotation because
I'm sure there's
Yeah,
so much
love
good
her, yeah.
music coming out of Australia, and it's all like super 90s, and it's super great.
Mm,
Again,
mhm.
like my buddy Zach sends me a bunch of fun Australian stuff all the time.
This is gonna last forever. Tame Impala from last year was good too.
Yeah, I can't.
I liked it. I
I
liked
don't get it. I don't get it generally. Tame
Fair
Tame
Impala.
Impala.
It
Recent
is
Tame
something
Impala.
I have very much tried to get into, and I'm just like, I think that's
It's
for boys.
here's
Yeah,
what I
it's
would
like
here's what I would say.
boys.
If we were still in college or still doing Flashpoint shows, Tame Impala is a good sound design band. Like
I'll
they're
see that. I
good.
can
Like
see
they're
that.
good
Really
for like
interesting.
scene transitions. They're good. They got that level of mood. They're good for like scoring things. And so I feel like if we were doing, if we still
can see
had
that.
theater company, I feel like I would be using Tame Impala for things.
Mm,
I mean,
mhm.
totally legally, of course, because we always
Obviously,
got the
yeah.
permission
yes.
to use the music.
Yeah,
for
of
Always
course.
on the up and up.
Yep.
Never illegally dumped anything.
Nope,
Nope.
definitely didn't reference that on a previous episode of the podcast this season, which you haven't heard
Definitely
yet, Meg.
Statute of limitations is way past. I think.
Way.
Anyway.
Anyway.
Love you guys.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Matt, Meg, for coming back. Thank you all for listening or watching. We appreciate it. We enjoy making this podcast. Not to speak for Michael, but I certainly do.
No, you can speak for me in that respect. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Let us know what you think of this album, of any album that you might want to bring to the Pantheon. Hit us up. And Michael, did you have any other announcements before we get out of here?
Just all the usual, like subscribe, follow, all that stuff. Even though we have a difficult relationship with social media, you should still join us there so we can all be miserable together.
So you know what's going on, yeah.
Yeah, that's so you know what's going on. That's how I should have led with that. It's 2026.
Miserably.
I gotta lead with
Miserably
that.
know what's going on together.
Yeah. Let's be miserable together. It's way
Yeah,
better.
yeah. And
That's what
I
I
guess
think.
the only other thing I would have to say at this point, Tyler, is bye.
Bye.